What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This here is Legitical Response. We cover political news. We keep you up to date and keep you informed with everything that the government does. You know, I've come to find out here recently, and I don't understand why it was recently, but just recently I've learned that Democrats live in this dream world, this odd reality where they can just say stuff and just walk away, like just claim a falsehood and act like that is the truth. I watched this committee hearing earlier about Alvin Bragg, about the weaponization of the federal government. And you watch the opening statements, and Jim Jordan, he sits there, runs off this list of all this litany of evidence, I guess you could say. And then Jerry Nadler comes in, and no lie, the second sentence starts off with, Republicans continuing levying these accusations that are just complete falsehoods, and they bring absolutely no evidence. Like, Jerry, did you not just hear Jim Jordan listing this long list? As a matter of fact, his entire 5 minutes, his entire opening statement was evidence that the DOJ colluded with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office to go after Donald Trump. Did you not know that Alvin Bragg absolutely ran his campaign on going after Donald Trump? It's just crazy that the world that these Democrats live in, like, people don't remember things and people don't know what evidence means. It's just absolutely absurd when you actually look into it, right? Like, I'm not trying to be partisan here. I didn't come out like, oh crap, I'm gonna go hard right or hard left. No, I just read the news and I allow the truth and logic to push me whatever direction that goes. I don't claim to be on the right. I am conservative because everything else is shifting so far left that it leaves me where I'm sitting at, right? Like, I agree that as a compromise that abortion up to a certain point is okay. Most Americans agree with that, but if you say that, you're a far-right extremist. I believe it's murder once you get past a certain point, but you're far right if you don't want to allow abortions at any point whatsoever. It's just crazy, the world some of these people live in. And, you know, you can criticize somebody and then all of a sudden you're extreme right, like criticizing RFK Jr., for instance, for his getting behind the Columbus Day Indigenous Peoples Day thing, right? Like, I had this long list of people just like calling me stupid and all this other crap. It was actually kind of funny to watch because I actually like RFK Jr. and I had to tell a lot of these people that I think RFK Jr. is a very good candidate. However, this is a criticism of RFK Jr. I think it was a dumb idea to get behind that. It's a woke idea, and it makes him look woke. And right, and if you're going to get behind a movement that is its entire intention is to take down a holiday, then you should at least know exactly what you're getting behind. But RFK tries to brush that off like, well, I didn't start it. Well, yeah, no, I'm sorry, but you got behind it regardless. Yeah, you need to take the heat for that. You need to take the accountability where it's deserved. Doesn't mean he's not a good candidate. Doesn't mean he's not going to do a good job if he were to win the presidency, which, you know, it's really not looking good for RFK Jr., but I do think he would make a pretty good president, to be honest with you. He would be a much better president than Joe Biden, that is for damn sure. But let's go ahead and get into the story right quick because, yeah, Democrat hypocrisy is on the table. Democrats' dream world they live in. Biden campaign calls on GOP to drop lawsuits over mail ballots, citing Trump's new fondness for it, right? Imagine that. Imagine going to fill out an amicus brief to send into this case and being like, I think you should drop all these cases because Trump likes mail-in ballots. Well, hang on. That's not what these cases are about. Yeah, look, the corporate press and the Democrats are just insane with this one, right? Let's get into it, though, and we'll break all this down. President Joe Biden's re-election campaign on Thursday called on top Republicans to drop litigation seeking to curtail aspects of mail balloting now that Donald Trump has begun to embrace the method. Do you get this? Yes, would you drop these lawsuits, please? Well, hang on. These lawsuits really don't have anything to do with mail balloting itself. It's the aspects around mail-in balloting and the fact that the Democrats will hire a butt ton, a horde, if you will, of activists to get out there and go to Democrats' residences and get them to fill out their ballots. And not just go there, knock on the door and say, hey, have you filled out your ballots? No, go there every single day, day after day after day after day, until these people fill out their ballots. So they're harassing these people until they fill out their ballots. But do they go and harass Republicans? No, they don't. And that is the problem. That is one of the things that Donald Trump said there was fraud in the 2020 election, because that is fraudulent actions, right? Like the mail ballots themselves may have been legitimate ballots, and Joe Biden won that election legitimately. But the manner in which they won the election was fraudulent in the fact that they hired Democrat activists to go and get Democrats to fill out their mail-in ballots. People that normally would not have voted whatsoever. That's why we had such a dramatic turnout in the 2020 presidential election. Trump for years falsely claimed voting by mail was riddled with fraud. It is. It most certainly is. Is it enough to sway an election? Probably not. But it's guaranteed, it's 100% guaranteed that there is fraud, some sort of fraud in every single election, whether it be, somebody messed their signature up, put the wrong date on their mail-in ballot, or did something. There is always fraud in every single election. Usually it's kept to a minimum. But when you have these mail-in ballots and these drop boxes, ballot harvesting, and all this good stuff, that opens the door, right? It opens the door for fraud, because now you can just make up ballots for people that may have not actually voted on those ballots. You can fill out the ballot for them and send it in. And now that person voted when they actually didn't vote. It just opens the door. It's not secure whatsoever. And the Democrats will call you a racist, a bigot, whatever they want to call you. If you want to secure the election, if you say, hang on, that's rife with the ability to commit fraud in an election, and they'll call you racist or something and try to say you're trying to suppress voters. What? No, we're trying to secure an election. Yeah, there may be a fine line between voter suppression and secure election. But I can promise you that wanting a secure election does not cross the line into voter suppression. But his 2024 campaign began a program this month to encourage mail voting if convenient for people. It is part of Republicans' attempt to increase mail voting among their supporters. Duh. At the same time, the Republican National Committee, newly under the former president's control, there you go, corporate press, already. Third paragraph and they're already lying, just outright lying. It is not under the control of Donald Trump. No, Laura Trump is the co-chair, but she is not Donald Trump. I forget, I'm sorry, I do apologize, folks. I forget the chair of the RNC right off. I apologize. I can't remember this guy's name. But I can honestly say that the chair of the RNC is not Donald Trump. And Donald Trump does not control the RNC. Prove me wrong. Has sued or joined lawsuits seeking to limit certain aspects of mail voting. That includes in some states, including Nevada, that allow late arriving mailed ballots to be counted as long as they are sent by election day. Now, that's something that, that's rife with fraud right there, because, hang on, you had a pretty good amount of time. You've had weeks to mail in your ballot, and you're going to wait until election day, or even so, waiting until after election day, huh? Like, Do you really think that we're going to actually count that? No. We want the results from the election on election day, that night. If you mail your ballot in on election day, it's going to be at least a couple of days before it arrives at a polling place. So why in the hell do you think that that is okay to do? Once again, you're opening the door for a very insecure election. If Donald Trump is serious about finally recognizing that mail voting is a great opportunity for voters to utilize this November, he should demand the RNC and his MAGA allies drop every one of these lawsuits throughout the country. So, yes, let's go ahead and just ignore all these lawsuits because they actually have nothing to do with mail balloting itself. It's the aspects around mail-in balloting, right? Like, they're trying to make you think that these people are just going after mail-in balloting even though they like mail balloting. No, that's not what they're doing. Talking about the drop boxes and the fact that you get Democrat activists to go around and harass people into voting, and the fact that some of these mailed ballots arrive late without a date or, with something messed up on it that has nothing to do with mail balloting itself. So it's like they're trying to fool people into thinking that the Trump campaign is outright retarded. Like, they're advocating for mail balloting, but yet they're suing to stop mail balloting? No, that's not what they're doing whatsoever. They're suing some of these mailed ballots that were fraudulently counted in the election, or will be fraudulently counted, right? Like, we need standards. If we're going to have some mail-in balloting, we need security around mail balloting, right? Like, do you guys agree with that? At least that we need, if we're going to have mail balloting, that we need to have some security around these things to make sure that nobody's creating ballots or just making up names, making up people, and just sending these ballots in and then they get counted, right? Like, there's a lot that goes into these, right? Like, they got to be inspected. You got to make sure you have your signature verified and the date, and then a witness has to sign it and all this other stuff. There's a lot that goes into this, and so there's so many aspects, there's so many avenues for lawsuits that these people, they're just trying to make you think that the Trump campaign is retarded. That's all this really is, this whole story, or at least so far that's what it is. Biden's campaign manager Julie Chavez Rodriguez said in a statement referring to Trump's Make America Great Again movement, Republicans said there is no contradiction between supporting mail voting and suing to make it more secure. They're right. That's the whole thing I've been saying this whole time. In Nevada, challenges they contended that the state's procedures for counting mail ballots received after Election Day opened the door to possible fraud. They're right. Like I said before, you get weeks to mail this thing in. You get weeks to figure out who the hell you want to vote for. As a matter of fact, you get more than weeks. In a presidential election, you get over a year to figure out who the hell you want to vote for, right? Like, because these campaigns run for over a year, but I mean, the nominees don't actually come up until just a few months before the election. However, we know who's going to be the nominee. At least in this election, we know. Most of the time, you might not know till six months before, but you can always tell through the primaries that, yeah, somebody is winning, and this person is probably going to be the nominee, especially in presidential elections. Those are the big elections that everybody votes for. But Democrats are playing dumb about a very simple concept. We support mail voting, but we also support safeguards to make mail voting secure, said Danielle Alvarez, a spokeswoman for the RNC and the Trump campaign. It's really not hard. The left should stop its assault on the foundation of our election system and accept that Americans don't agree with their extreme attempts to make voting less secure. And that's exactly what they're doing. They call voter IDs voter suppression, right? Like, that's a common sense, that's a very logical step to make sure your elections are secure, especially when we have a wide open southern border and we have upwards of 20 million illegals, criminal aliens in this country. If you don't allow mail-in voting, that's voter suppression, right? Like, for the entirety of human existence, ever since voting has been a thing, there has been voter suppression because we didn't have mail-in voting for a very, very long time. And now it's voter suppression. It's just ridiculous, right? Like, we can't have an election day. They should honestly make election day a holiday that everybody gets off. We can all go and vote. We just vote on election day and be done with it, and drop all this mail balloting crap, because mail ballots can be intercepted, changed. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities here for fraud. Having your elections on a certain day and everybody goes and votes on that day and it gets counted on that day and you get a result on that day, then, you know, there's a lot less chances for somebody to fidget around with the election and screw with things, because everything's very secure. You got poll watchers, you got all these canvassers and all this other stuff. It's just, it would be so much more secure. But understand, some people can't get out to go vote, so we need things like mail-in voting, but we also need to put safeguards in place. But these people don't understand this because they don't care about election security. All they care about is how many pieces of paper they can get. And when you only care about how many pieces of paper you can get with the blue check mark checked off on it, you could care less about security. It's crazy. The Biden campaign noted that in the weeks before Trump announced a Swap the Vote campaign to encourage voting by mail, the RNC filed 2 lawsuits attacking that method in Nevada, a pivotal swing state. No, they didn't. They're attacking. Once again, these people are outright deranged with Trump, right? Like, Trump gets on board with mail-in voting, and then all of a sudden they're like, no, Trump hates it, because they filed a lawsuit due to specific aspects about mail-in voting with, you know, I don't know what that case is, to be honest with you, but they're not going to endorse a method and then file a lawsuit to attack that method. That is a waste of time, for one, and outright ridiculous for two. It makes no sense. But they can sue certain aspects because they allowed these drop boxes all over the place for these people, for these ballot harvesters to go around and collect all these ballots and go drop them in, right? Like, that is very, very unsecure. Once again, these people that go around and collect all these ballots to go and drop them off could have just fabricated a bunch of ballots. You get enough Democrat activists to do this, and then all of a sudden you have a shit ton of fraud in an election, right? It's not very secure. Why would the Democrats want this? But the Democrats will stop at nothing with the corporate press backing them up to make you believe that Republicans are evil. They won't give you details of these cases to let you know exactly what Trump's campaign is suing for. They'll just throw everything that they're suing under a blanket of, oh, they're suing, attacking this method. It's just outright ridiculousness coming from these people. And they expect us to believe that. One challenged the ability of Nevada and any state to accept ballots that arrived after Election Day. The second targeted Nevada's acceptance of mail ballots lacking a postmark for up to 3 days after Election Day. So basically, okay, so what they're saying here, I should have read that entire paragraph out before I went on that rant. Basically, what they're saying here is that the Trump campaign's Swap the Vote campaign wants any state to accept ballots that arrive after Election Day. What was the other one? Accept ballots lacking a postmark for up to 3 days after Election Day. That's what they're telling you the Swap the Vote campaign is. Because they say, I mean, these people are just insane. It makes absolutely no sense. What? This just blows my freaking mind that these people that say, oh, they're attacking this method. No, they're not attacking mail voting. They're attacking the fact that if you accept mail ballots after Election Day that is postmarked after Election Day, it's not a valid ballot. For God's sakes. Why should you accept them after Election Day? Once again, you've had weeks, if not months, to mail in your ballot. In some places, it is months. I believe Pennsylvania, you get 60 days, 2 months, to send in your mail ballots. Why would you wait till election day? It just doesn't make any sense. And plus, advocating for mail balloting and wanting to not accept ballots, those aren't mutually exclusive. These people are just so crazy. And I guess they expect you to read over this story and just, yep, oh, Trump's crazy. Trump's attacking mail voting and then campaigning for you to go vote by mail. That is stupid. I will vote against Trump. It's like, what are these people actually thinking here? Did they think that I wasn't going to read this and figure that out, that they're full of shit? That's what I'm getting at. The litigation follows an RNC case seeking to prohibit Mississippi from accepting post-election day mail ballots, as well as several other cases in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Trump's lies regarding mail ballots were a centerpiece of his false claims that voter fraud cost him the 2020 election. That is not necessarily true. I'm talking about what cost Trump the election. It wasn't necessarily fraud. It was the shadow campaign, folks. And if you haven't seen that video of the shadow campaign, it's on my channel. Go check it out. It's called The Most Important Video I've Ever Made. And it's the most important video I've ever made because it shows exactly what the Democrats did, how they changed the rules, changed the laws around elections, and hired hordes of Democrat activists to go out and campaign on behalf of Democrats, naturally, and get Democrats to fill out their mail-in ballots without going to Republicans to do that. That is called cheating. So it wasn't that it was fraud. It was just that the Democrats cheated. That's how Trump lost. A falsehood that helped spur the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Since then, Republicans have added new restrictions to mail balloting in several states. Trump also has taken direct control of the RNC lies, once again lies, appointing his daughter-in-law. No, they voted on that, corporate press. They vote for those things. Trump didn't appoint somebody who's not even in that company. You can't just appoint somebody. They have to vote for those things. The corporate press is such full of shit. And there's not supposed to be bias. This is supposed to be a centrist story. Of course, all of them are supposed to be, right? Just insane. Laura Trump as its co-chair alongside with North Carolina Republican who echoed the former president's false claims of fraud in 2020. Damn it! And I forgot his name earlier, and now they didn't name it, so I can't think of this guy's name to save my damn life. Before Trump's attacks, GOP voters cast mail ballots at comparable rates to Democrats, but since 2020, they have fallen sharply behind. Yes, because Republicans didn't hire hordes of Republican activists to go around to Republican households and get Republicans to fill out their mail-in ballots. Only Democrats did that. Many Republican operatives have expressed frustration at Trump's criticism because it is considered an advantage for campaigns to get supporters to vote early. This is part of what pushed Trump to embrace mail balloting. Though it has been a contradictory effort, he still falsely claims that mail ballot fraud cost him re-election against Democrat Joe Biden. Yeah, he is, because he believes that hiring a bunch of Democrat activists, I'll say it again, and I apologize if this is getting redundant, but yes, he considers it fraud for Democrats to hire a bunch of Democrat activists to go around to Democrats' household to get them to fill out their mail-in ballots. Yes, he feels that is fraud. So I'm going to take him on that. I'm going to tell him, no, Trump, that is not fraud. They actually changed the laws right before the election to make that legal. So it is no longer fraud. It may have been fraud at one point. You may have been correct in 2019, but you were not correct in 2021. But I can say that Democrats most certainly cheated to win the 2020 election. But, it's like going into a baseball game and the other team, the opposition team, the Democrats team, they hired an MLB official to go in and change the rules around stealing bases or something like that, and didn't notify the other team that they changed the rules around stealing bases. So then when it comes game time, they just started illegally stealing bases, and the other teams over here like, what's going on? And the ref ain't doing nothing about it. You know, the umpire ain't saying nothing, and the coach is like, what the hell are you doing? He just illegally stole bases. That was fraudulent base stealing he done over here. And the umpire's like, no, everything was fine. Didn't know they changed the rules and the laws around elections. So yeah, of course Trump's going to claim it's fraud, because he didn't know the Democrats changed the laws around voting, in particular, mail-in ballots. Didn't know that, so he thought that was illegal. So, do you blame the guy? No, but the Democrats won't tell you that. They'll just say, oh, his unsupported claims of fraud in the 2020 election. There's a lot of nuance around that. But, you know, and then you'll get people trolling you saying, oh, well, he still claims it was fraud. The corporate press. Oh, he still claims of fraud, have unfounded claims of fraud and all this other BS. Just outright ridiculous, right? Like, you don't look into these things. These people, the corporate press, they're supposed to be the ones who hold the government to account, right? They're supposed to be the ones that goes in and says, oh, crap, look, Democrats changed a litany of rules before the 2020 election. Hang on, let's look into this. No, but they don't do that. They just say, oh, well, Trump's claiming fraud, and, oh, hang on. Oh, they changed the rules. Nope, that wasn't fraud. It's unfounded claims of fraud. But I think I've rambled on for long enough on this one, y'all. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section, because I think I've ranted enough. Maybe I've changed your mind on something. You never know. But let me know what you think down in the comments. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.